So, it's been a while since we've had a big announcement from Rishi, but that all changed last Thursday, September the 24th, when we had details of the Winter Economy Plan. If you haven't joined us before, I'm Jeremy Leboff. I'm one of the partners at Sobel Rhodes. This video is another in our essential guides from the Sobel Rhodes playbook on covering the key points relating to everything to help you through the coronavirus. Those of you who have watched our videos before will know that I'm going to speak fast in order to cover as much information in as short a period as possible, but you can always rewatch it, slow it down and speed it up, whatever meets your viewing experience the best. So without any further ado, let's get into it. There are a few key elements to the Winter Economy Plan, the first being the new job support scheme designed to protect millions of jobs as we start to get into the winter months. The second is an extension to the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme. The third is an extension of the 15% VAT cut for the hospitality and tourism sectors through to March 31st, 2021. We've also got an extension in relation to the deferment of VAT payments and the deferment of income tax payments, as well as some flexibility in relation to the paying back of some of the loans the government have made available to everybody. So what's the deal with the job support scheme? Okay, so it is designed for keeping employees in work for the 6-month period starting from the 1st of November 2020. There is a grant that's available to businesses who are facing lower demand through the winter months because of coronavirus, and as such their staff are not in a position to work the hours they would normally do. Employees who are working at least 33% of their normal hours will be those that are eligible within this scheme, and that means that those hours that they're not being worked, they will get 2/3 of the pay that they would normally have got through other means. So how does this work? 1/3 of that, unfortunately, is lost, but then 1/3 of that is covered by the employer on top of what they're paying for the work that's been done, and another third is covered by the government. That's through a grant paid to the employer. So what's happening is that you do 33% or more of your regular work, get paid for it. Of the remainder, you will receive 2/3 of that if you are an employee. The grants are paid by the government on a monthly basis, worked on the average amount that individual would have been paid otherwise, but it is subject to a cap of £697.92 per month. At the moment, we don't know what the details are in relation to how the mechanism is going to work, so we're looking forward to that. We'll let you know as soon as we know, but what we do know is a good piece of news insofar as the job support scheme is going to sit alongside the job retention bonus scheme, so people who are, or businesses who have got employees that fall into the categories that qualify for both, will be able to benefit from both of these grants. Working through an example with numbers and spinning them out isn't particularly easy because there's a number of variables that are at play here. So I've put onto the screen a table where I put 5 completely fictitious scenarios ranging from low pay up to a higher paid individual, and showing how that might work out. Now obviously the dynamics of the minimum of 33% could go up to anything, mean that the numbers are never going to be the same for anybody, but what you can do is draw some sort of idea of how this works. What we can see though is if we look at the far right hand side where we've got Ms. Shah, the amount that is being paid by the government grant is reduced as compared with the amount that the employer is putting in for those unpaid or unworked elements. So whereas the employer is putting in £963 in addition to the time that Ms. Shah has worked and is being paid for, obviously the government is only putting it up to their cap level of £697.92. We also have here an illustration of the lowest to the highest individuals on my 5-person illustration, and it just shows in blue the amount they would have received had things been normal, there was no pandemic, as compared with what they're going to receive under the new scenario whereby they are working reduced hours, and how that's made up and who's going to pay what and for what element. If you've got any questions or queries about this, you can always give us a shout through our office and we'll be able to work it through and see if we can help you. But the truth is that it's out there to try and protect as many jobs as possible, and it's clearly aimed at those people who are going to be suffering at the lower, and so we're talking about the lower and the basic rate taxpayers. When you get up to the higher rate taxpayers, there's not really going to be a huge amount because you're going to start to see a disparity between what they would have earned and what they are going to earn, showing much more starkly. The extension to the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme is actually simple and straightforward. We've already been used to it with regards to payments that were made in May and payment that was made in August, but this is slightly changed moving forward. It's going to cover the 6-month period from November 2020 through to April 2021. The first is going to be a 3-month period that only covers the November, December, January periods that are coming up, and like the previous grants, is based on the average trading profits as calculated by HMRC and through personal tax returns. However, this is only going to return 20% of the average trading profits, whereas we've been used to 80 and 70 in the previous instalments. So a considerable reduction in the amount that's coming through, and also that's subject to a cap. The cap at this time is £1,875, so that's the maximum. That's going to be a one-off instalment, and that's the maximum payment that's going to be paid out for that 3-month period. In relation to the second instalment of the extension, which is going to be covering the February, March, April 2021 period, we don't know all the details as yet. All we know is that there will be some sort of grant extension, but we don't know the details, and we'll look forward to hearing those in due course, and we will of course share them with you as soon as we know. As mentioned earlier, the VAT scheme for tourism and for hospitality sectors is going to be extended to the 31st of March 2021, so that's that 15% reduction in VAT in relation to those particular sectors. In addition to this, a new payment scheme is being put in place because, as we know, there's a load of deferred VAT that was due to be paid back in March, April, May, June of this year, which has been deferred forward until the 31st of March 2021. But that's a big number, and people have seen it looming on the horizon. Thankfully, the government have come up with an 11-stage smaller interest-free payment scheme, which will run from April 2021 through to March 2022, therefore making the cash flow issue that a lot of people are worried about a lot easier. So the choices are: go with the 11 smaller payments, or worry about a one-off payment in March. I don't suppose it's going to be a difficult situation for most to make a decision upon. On top of that, and in the same sort of vein, we've got an extension to paying self-assessment income tax. We know that the July 2020 payment has already been deferred through to January 2021, but what the government have done now is said that actually we're taking that and the January 2021 payment.
We're going to take those, we're going to bundle them together, and then we're going to throw them forward. What this means is that neither of them need to be paid by January 2021. What's going to happen is that anybody who's got a tax liability of less than £30,000 is in a position whereby they'll be able to get a time to pay plan, and that's going to be available to anybody, as I say, below that threshold. If you've got other people who have got tax liabilities of greater than £30,000 or are unable to use the online system for whatever reason, then they'll still be able to contact HMRC and talk to them about a time to pay plan, but it's not necessarily as guaranteed, but it's definitely worth a try.
But all we need to know at the moment is that there was nothing to pay in July if you didn't want to, and now there's nothing to pay in January if you don't want to. You can, of course, make those payments should you choose to. No doubt they're going to ask you to, but you do not have to. So that is good news and easing up on the cash flow for an awful lot of individuals over the next 12 to 18 months. The next bit of good news comes in relation to those various loans that the government has put together through various avenues and made available to people. The bounce back loans, which were due to be paid over up to a 6-year period, are now actually going to be extended automatically to a 10-year period. This means that monthly repayments are expected to almost half as compared with where they were a few weeks ago. Also, there's going to be availability for 6 months interest-only payment periods and even repayment holidays. All of this designed to help people go along the route of repaying these loans without getting themselves into additional difficulty, we hope. In relation to this, and kind of on the same sort of track, the government have said that those CBIL providers, remember CBIL providers have got more risk at stake than those who are providing just the bounce-back bills, which are fully backed by the government. Those CBIL providers will be in a position to use a similar concept, extending 6-year loans up to 10 years if they feel it's going to aid the loan recipient in repaying the loan. I'm sure there's going to be small print around that, and we'll find out more in due course and we'll let you know, but at the moment in time we know that there is a possibility of this happening. The other things that they've announced is an extension to the period of applying for these various loans and also for aligning all of their various end dates, which means that CBILs and large CBILs and the bounce back loan and the future fund will be made to look more like each other in terms of when you can apply for them and when you can not apply for them, so that people have got a little bit more understanding for that. So whilst the government have made some good announcements this week, and obviously something is better than nothing, I'm sure different people will have different opinions, our tax department continues to help with various clients and new clients in relation to creating calculations, making sure they're getting the information that they need, and helping them with online applications and doing them for them where it's possible and where we're allowed to. If you would like us to help in any particular way, shape or form along these lines, please contact our tax director Tim Knight at our offices. We are also finding an uptake in demand in relation to people who need their businesses and even their personal affairs having cash flow planning and budget planning in relation to not only the fact that they're trying to get money and lending into their business so they can actually keep things going, but also understanding what their requirements and needs are moving forward over 6, 12, 18 months. If that's something that we can help you with, then do not hesitate to give our Director of Business Consultancy a shout. His name is Mark Rose, and you can contact him through our offices as well. Finally, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to hit subscribe so that you get automatically notified when we record any new videos, and that way they can come straight to you so that you get the newest information as it is released. And also, please, please, please make sure that you look after yourselves and stay safe. Thank you very much.